Good morning, or afternoon if you are sixth period. We are going to be making a tessellation today. So we need to start off with just a piece of paper. And some of you might have made tessellations in math class before. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we start in a corner of our piece of paper and we bring that in. We make an interesting type of a shape. We want to come way into our piece of paper while we make that shape. And I'm going to do, I don't know what this is going to look like. I'm just going to do a couple more little shapes as I exit out of the other corner. So it's really important that your line starts in a corner and ends in a corner. Okay? We're going to cut out this shape and we're going to move it to the other side. Okay, so we have a shape. I've cut it out. And what we have to do is, in order for it to be a tessellation, we have to take this piece and we have to just slide it over to the other side. All right? And then we are going to tape this piece here. So I'm going to go ahead and just quickly tape it. And it has to be, you have to actually slide it over, and you cannot just put it any way you want. It's got to be slid over like this so that the piece will fit in here when we begin to tessellate it. Okay, so we have something like this now. Now I have to start to imagine, what could this be? I'm seeing like a really interesting kind of Russian style house like this. I'm also, when I look at it like this, I see, maybe if it was like this, looks like a face. There's a nose and there's a mouth, and maybe this could be like a cape, and then these could be his legs, and they could be like a guy that's flying across the sky. So we have to do a lot of imagining. Now you can't see any lines within it. You can't, this is totally up to our imagination to figure out what this could be. Oh, it could be a bird too. I'm seeing a bird. So we got the wings here. All right, so we're going to take this tessellation. We're going to hold it parallel to our camera, and we have to be very careful not to squish it. We have to be careful not to angle it. So like this would be like perpendicular, this would be angled, this would be angled, but we need to hold it parallel to the camera so we can get it nice and flat so that when we do tessellate it in Photoshop, it will fit very nicely. I'm going to try to move my fingers back so I don't even get a lot of shadow on my tessellation or my tile. This is a tile that we're going to be tessellating. And then I'm going to go ahead and take the picture. Okay. Hi. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and slide this tile. Just trying to hold it very still. Hopefully it turned out okay. It looks a little bit bent on the end there, so we'll see how that works out when we start to tessellate it. And if it's bad, you'll see why we need to hold it parallel. Okay, so we've opened Photoshop. See, it's open here. And then I'm going to go File, New, and I'm going to create a pretty large document. So we're going to call this your name, tessellation. That's how you spell tessellation. Took me a while to figure that out. We're going to go 20 by 30, 300 pixels per inch. We'll say OK. This is a pretty large document. All right. So from here, we have to place our tile, File, Place, and I put it on my desktop. So I'm just going to find that tile and place it. Okay, that's totally fine. I'm going to hit return to get rid of that X on my screen. And now I need to select my tessellation. Now this could be very easy, so hopefully if I just hit the magic wand, and I click that, I get most of it. So looks like I'm going to have to maybe use my quick selection tool to select this a little bit better, using my brackets next to my P to make my selection tool a little bit bigger. And once I have everything selected, I'm going to go ahead and do a Command J. So Command J, copying that tessellation onto its own layer. Now, you can barely see it, but if we turn off our background, now we can see our tessellation. It looks a little bit bent right there, and I'm a little worried about that. I'm going to throw away my photo, and I'm going to rename my background and actually just throw away my background too, because we don't need any of that. Alright, so I need to fix this. I need to fix this shape because it is a little bit bent. So what I'm going to do is pick Skew and see if I can lift this end up a little bit so it's a little bit more straight there. Okay. Alright. Now I can play with this and I can start to build it. One of the things that we can do, we just went to the transform menu, but you can see that free transform is Command T. So I might just do that, Command T, and rotate it, and I might start to draw that building. If I want to rotate onto like a 90-degree or 45-degree angle, I hold Shift down, and that helps me get it so that it'll fit perfectly in a corner like that. Okay, so I'm going to hit return, and I'm going to zoom in, use my space bar to move this over. Alright, and now I can start to draw. Okay, so I have done some drawing. You can see that my drawing is on layer 2 and my actual tessellation is on layer 1. I'm actually going to delete layer 1 because I no longer need it because I did my drawing on layer 2. And let me just back up 1 second here. When I did that, I just quickly selected this, so you can see I've selected the background. And to do the opposite, some of you know this, we do select inverse. And now I have this selected, and when I drew this, I made sure I had this selection, and it just made it really easy to stay in the lines and keep my tessellation nice and neat. So I would suggest doing that, having a selection around your tessellation for while you draw inside of it. Okay, now there's my funny little house or building that I've created, and now I'm going to start to tessellate that. So I can move this tessellation up and down. So I'm going to go to the top and make sure that I'm going right to the edge of the page. So let's get this a little bit smaller so we can see our whole page. Okay. Alright. Take that right to the top. Now we're tiling a tile on a plane, and that is what creates a tessellation. And this is a little bit of a boring tessellation. I have to be honest. I wish I was a little bit more creative, but in the considering time, I wanted to just keep it nice and neat. All right. Look at how that doesn't really fit. So I could go back and draw a little bit more of this to make sure that that fits. So let me just do that really quick. Okay, I've fixed this a little bit. I drew some black in the parts that weren't quite fitting, and so I'm going to go ahead and delete my top layer because now this one will fit. So I'm going to go ahead and Command J to copy it, use my Move tool to move that up, and that fits nicely. Okay, Command J, and then move my Move tool. Use my Move tool to move it, Command J, and I'm just going to continue to move, Command J, until I fill up my screen. Okay, once my tessellation is finished, I'm going to go ahead and go to my layer menu, and I'm going to merge visible to get them all together. And then I can do some fun stuff. I can play around with my transform tools, and I could change the perspective of this, so I could make it look like it's going back in space, and then do something fun. Maybe let's hit return. I could copy this layer, Command J. I could move it over and create another pattern. And this pattern wouldn't necessarily be a tessellating pattern. Command T, so I can rotate this. And this is more of an advanced thing. You know, students who are taking their tessellation to another level, they might play around with these techniques with the transform and skew and copying. So, okay, I'm going to just go back. Command Alt Z, get it back to normal, go back to transform and try something else. And you can do this too, you know, you don't have to stick with something. Alright, let's try this. Let's distort it. And this is kind of fun too. So it looks like the plane is actually like coming out of the page. And if you're doing something like this, this is very MC Escher. You could create an optical illusion. Maybe have, let's see, if we copied this layer, Command J, and then did that same thing again. Edit, transform, distort. We could make this look like it's like coming off the page and that there's many pages, which is kind of neat. So I could take this layer and copy it. Plus return, go ahead and Command J that layer, and I could start to make this look like this paper is like coming off the page. So I'm going to do distort again. Alright. Try a little something different with the distort this time. I think I'm going to bring this corner down so I can bring this up so we can kind of see the edge of that. Alright. So now, if I wanted to make this look three-dimensional, I could take this and I could put an effect on it, like a drop shadow. So I see that drop shadow starting to come out. Give it a little bit more spread and size to it so that it looks very three-dimensional. And then if I did that again to this layer, that would so that gives it kind of a three-dimensional look. Again, those are a lot of really advanced techniques. If you are proficient, you will have something like this. But if you do want to get a 4, I would suggest experimenting with these techniques here. All right. Good luck and have fun.